My husband never came home, he disappeared, and even the police couldn't find him, I said. Sounds like he just ran away, my sister replied coldly. Maybe he got tired of you. Her words sent shivers down my spine. My name is Ella, and I have a twin sister named Charlotte. We look alike, but our parents always loved Charlotte more. Dad, can I have some money? I'm going out with my friends, Charlotte would ask sweetly. Didn't you already spend your allowance? Yeah, but I promise I'll do great on my finals. Please, Dad? Alright, here you go. Thanks, Daddy, you're the best. Charlotte was charming and manipulative, so my parents spoiled her. I, on the other hand, was quiet and shy. They often ignored me. Dad, I need to buy a book for my homework, I asked once. I already gave you your allowance, use it wisely, he said. Okay, I mumbled. Charlotte wasn't satisfied with just being the favorite, she wanted everything I had, too. Hey, Ella, I like that outfit, I want it, she said one day. No, I bought this with my allowance, I protested as she rummaged through my drawer. I think it'll look better on me, I'm taking it. Stop, that's mine, Mom, Ella's being mean, Charlotte cried out. Ella, don't be so selfish, Mom scolded, let your sister have it. But why? I asked, hurt. No matter what, my parents always took Charlotte's side. If she wanted something, she got it, even if it belonged to me. I quietly endured everything, but when I graduated college, I got a job far from home. Finally, I didn't have to see my parents or Charlotte as often, and it felt like a relief. But the years of being compared to her left me with little confidence. I avoided fun and excitement, focusing only on my work. Then, I met Daniel during a business meeting. Here's the document you requested, I said. Thank you, this is so thorough, he replied with a smile. I hope it helps. It does, you're amazing. Would you like to have dinner sometime? I was surprised. I'd never had dinner alone with a man before, but I said yes. Over time, he asked me out more often. One day, Daniel looked at me and said, Ella, will you be my girlfriend? Me? Are you sure? I asked, stunned. Of course, you're beautiful, kind, and everything I've ever wanted. No one had ever said anything like that to me before. My heart swelled with joy. I'm so happy, thank you, Daniel, I said, my eyes brimming with tears. Daniel was hardworking, thoughtful, and responsible. He worked for a big company, made good money, and lived a stable life. After a few years of dating, we got married. I became a full-time housewife and moved into his parents' house. Mom, Dad, this is Ella. She's part of the family now, Daniel said with a smile. Welcome, Ella, we've heard you're a hardworking young woman, his mom said warmly. We're family now, so feel at home, okay? Thank you, I'll do my best, I replied, feeling relieved by their kind welcome. Daniel's parents run a small business, and their house was spacious. I quickly formed a good relationship with them, and they treated me with respect and kindness. How about we all go out for dinner tonight? Daniel's dad suggested one evening. Ella, what would you like to eat? Oh, anything you like is fine. How about Italian? There's a new restaurant nearby, Daniel's mom said. Italian sounds great. Perfect, Ella, order anything you want, Daniel added. They were always so thoughtful and made me feel included. One day, Daniel's mom handed me a delicate necklace. Ella, this necklace would look lovely on you. I used to wear it, but I'd like you to have it now. Really? It's beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm happy you'll wear it. You're my daughter now, she said, smiling. For the first time, I felt truly loved and appreciated. Living with Daniel's family was so different from my old life. I finally had a home where I felt safe and cherished. I thought this happiness would last forever. But one evening, Daniel didn't come home. Has Daniel called you? His mom asked. No, I've tried calling and texting, but there's no reply, I said, feeling uneasy. Do you think something happened? Maybe check with his friends. I'll try, I said, my voice shaking. Daniel had gone to work that morning as usual, but he never returned. I called his friends and coworkers, but no one had seen or heard from him. Desperate, I reported his disappearance to the police, but they couldn't find anything either. I couldn't stop thinking he might have been in an accident. Anxiety consumed me, and our peaceful life fell apart. My in-laws were heartbroken, sitting on the sofa with tears in their eyes. Where could he have gone? How could this happen? His mom whispered through her sobs. Seeing their sadness, I started to blame myself. Maybe I did something wrong without realizing it. Maybe it's my fault he left. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was to blame, and if it was my fault, maybe I didn't deserve to stay in this house anymore. I thought this family was my safe place, my home, but after Daniel disappeared, despair consumed me. I locked myself in my room and cried. One evening, my phone rang. My heart leaped. Could it be him? But the call wasn't from Daniel. It was from my sister, Charlotte. She rarely calls for anything important. Most of the time, she just brags, talks endlessly, and makes me feel small. This time, though, I couldn't hold it in. I told her everything. Hey, Ella, what's up? Not good, I said softly. Really? What's wrong? My husband, he disappeared. What? That boring guy from your wedding? He vanished? She said, laughing. Yes, the police couldn't find him either, I admitted. Well, maybe he just got tired of you and ran away. Her words stung. She laughed like it was a joke, but part of me wondered if it was true. I started to blame myself even more. Maybe I'd done something wrong without realizing it. The guilt ate at me, day after day. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and started to think about leaving the house. One night, as I went downstairs for some water, I overheard my in-laws talking in the living room. What is he thinking? This isn't right, my father-in-law said. I feel so sorry for Ella, she's been through so much, my mother-in-law replied. It makes no sense for him to leave her like this. It only makes sense if he had an accident or something, he added. Hearing their concern for me made me burst into tears. Despite their own pain, they cared about me. Their kindness reminded me I couldn't stay lost in despair. My in-laws had lost their son, and they needed me as much as I needed them. I decided to stay strong, for all of us. The next day, I made cherry pie, my father-in-law's favorite. I made this for you. Let's eat it together, I said with a smile. Thank you, Ella. It smells amazing, he replied. From then on, we supported each other, living as a family while I continued searching for Daniel. I spoke to his colleagues, his friends, anyone who might know where he was. Then I discovered something shocking. $100,000 was missing from his bank account. The police suspected he had run away, but with no clear evidence of a crime, they stopped investigating. Years passed. My in-laws and I slowly adjusted, helping each other through life. But 7 years after Daniel vanished, tragedy struck. My father-in-law passed away after a long illness. At his funeral, as my mother-in-law and I cried, a familiar voice stopped us. Hello, I'm back. Hey, Ella, it's been a while. I turned, stunned. Daniel, where have you been? But he wasn't alone. Standing next to him was Charlotte, my sister. What? Why? What's going on? I stammered. Daniel looked completely unfazed. Well, I've been living with Charlotte, at your parents' house, he said casually. I froze in disbelief. Charlotte had stolen my husband, she'd even had his child. My parents had helped them, hiding Daniel from me all these years. Your dad passed away, so I came for the inheritance, Daniel said without shame. He had been living off his savings and my family's support for 7 years, and now he was back for money. Are you crazy? How selfish can you be? I yelled, trembling with anger alongside my mother-in-law. You don't know how much my father-in-law worried before he passed away. My voice cracked with fury. Daniel, unfazed, shrugged. At first, I tried to devote myself to you, Ella, but no matter what you did, you were so boring. It was no fun being with you. Yeah, Charlotte chimed in with a smirk. Ella, you're super boring, but I'm different. I've got the same face as you, but I actually know how to live. When I met Charlotte, everything changed, Daniel continued, his tone cold. She made me happy. I couldn't have kids with you, Ella, but we had a child together right away. Charlotte and I are meant to be together. My heart sank. Daniel was justifying his betrayal with the most selfish, hurtful reasoning. Charlotte, who had never worked a day in her life, had set her sights on Daniel the moment she realized at our wedding that he had a well-paying job. You thought you could just take whatever I had, didn't you? I spat at Charlotte, like you always used to, but this time, it's about money, isn't it? Charlotte crossed her arms, glaring at me. Whatever, Daniel just loves me more now. Anyway, he's the son, so he has the right to inherit the money. That's right, Daniel added. I deserve what's mine, so hand over the money. It was clear Charlotte had manipulated Daniel into coming here, demanding the inheritance. That's enough, it's not going to happen, my mother-in-law shouted, her face red with rage. Why not? It's my money, Daniel yelled. I don't care how many times you demand it. Go home, she snapped. Fuming, Daniel glared at us. I'll be back. You'd better have my money ready next time. With that, he stormed off with Charlotte. But they didn't stop there. A few days later, they started following me and my mother-in-law everywhere. Just give us the money already, Daniel demanded one day. I don't care. It was your father's money, my mother-in-law retorted. It's mine, I have a right to it, Daniel argued. Why should I give it to you? Now leave, I shouted, trying to keep calm. But no matter how many times we told them to stop, Daniel and Charlotte refused to give up. They kept pestering us, their demands growing louder and more desperate. I was just about to send them away when my mother-in-law stepped out from the back of the house. Are they here again? She asked, her voice heavy with annoyance. Yes, I replied. Charlotte, my sister, immediately turned her anger toward my mother-in-law, who was looking at them with disgust. Your son is begging, but you're just acting like a— My son is dead, my mother-in-law interrupted firmly. Huh? Both Daniel and Charlotte froze, speechless. There's a grave in the backyard, my mother-in-law added without flinching. What? No way, Daniel and Charlotte shouted in unison before rushing to the small cemetery in the woods behind the house. Sure enough, they found a gravestone with Daniel's name engraved on it. You see, he was declared dead after his disappearance, my mother-in-law explained, her voice cold and steady. Legally, after 7 years, a missing person can be declared dead. That's what we did. I inherited everything, and as far as the law is concerned, your marriage to Ella is already dissolved. Daniel stared at her in disbelief. But I'm alive. I'm standing right here. Exactly, he's alive, so he should get the money, right? Charlotte chimed in, panicking. My mother-in-law didn't even blink. Well, you're lucky, Daniel. I could have sued you for alimony when I found out about your affair, but since you're dead, I let it go. What, alimony? Charlotte stammered. Yes, my mother-in-law said, narrowing her eyes. If you two keep pestering us for money, I'll make sure the courts deal with you, and trust me, it won't end well for you. Hey, wait, I'm your son, it's my money, you can't do this, Daniel shouted, his voice cracking. My son is dead, she repeated coldly. You're his mother, you can see him standing right here, Charlotte whined. Then I suppose if my dead ex-husband were somehow alive, my mother-in-law said, her tone sharp, he'd owe Ella a lot of money in alimony for abandoning her and betraying his family. She let that sink in before continuing, but since he's dead, I guess we'll never get to that. Daniel's face fell, and Charlotte's bravado faded instantly. Fine, I get it, Daniel muttered. So, no money, my mother-in-law declared, now leave. Daniel and Charlotte tried to play the victim, pleading and arguing, but we didn't budge. The moment they heard the word alimony, they realized they'd lost. Later, my parents came to me, looking distressed. Clearly, they had heard the story from Charlotte. We're in serious trouble, Ella, my father said, his voice trembling. We have a lot of debts. Please, help us out. Yes, my mother added, we're still family, after all. Family? I snapped. You took away my husband and treated me terribly for years. Now you want my help? Forget it. I'm not giving you a single cent. My parents were stunned. No way. They had spent years spoiling Charlotte, pouring all their money into her and supporting her lavish lifestyle. Now they were paying the price. That's what happens when you let her take and take without limits. You've dug your own grave, I said bluntly. It turned out Daniel had been freeloading at my parents' house without working, relying on his savings. Meanwhile, Charlotte had spent recklessly, completely ignoring their financial situation. Raising a child on top of that only added to their expenses. Eventually, Daniel's savings ran out, and even with my parents' help, they were drowning in debt. What are we going to do? You need to fix this situation with the money. Oh, okay, I'll get a job then, Daniel said, frustrated. But since he was legally dead, he didn't have a family register, which meant he couldn't get a proper job. What now? We're drowning in debt, Charlotte complained. I didn't plan on having a second baby, she added. I never expected to get pregnant again either, but it's your problem now, you handle it. Charlotte's belly was huge, and their financial situation was getting worse by the day. I didn't care about the mess between my ex-husband and sister, I just wanted to move on. As for me, I was finally living a peaceful, Happy life with my mother-in-law. How about Paris? She asked one day. Paris? I responded, surprised. Yes, I've always wanted to visit Europe, she said. You said you wanted to see Buckingham Palace too. Why not take a trip to Europe? Really? That would be amazing. It feels like a dream come true. My mother-in-law is the only family who truly cares for me, and I'm grateful for that. I will take good care of her, and we'll continue supporting each other as a family.